The movie begins with a woman named Layla returning to her family home to attend her father's funeral. Upon seeing her mother, Jenny, they embrace, and Layla attempts to comfort her, although Jenny is deeply grieving her husband's death. In contrast, Layla appears emotionally detached from the situation. She goes up to her childhood room, lost in thought, and reflects on the room she hasn't seen in years. Her mother soon joins her, telling her that her father loved her dearly and had hoped to see her one last time before his death. Jenny then asks Layla to write a eulogy to say at her father's funeral, but Layla refuses, explaining that she has nothing to say. This frustrates Jenny, who insists that Layla say at least 5 good things about her father during the service. Layla reluctantly agrees and attends the funeral, but when it's time for her to speak, she finds herself unable to say anything nice about her father. Overcome with emotion and the pressure of the moment, she awkwardly exits the stage and leaves the funeral. That night, still feeling uneasy, Layla finds herself sitting alone on the rooftop of a nearby building, trying to calm her nerves. It's here that she encounters a man named Rael, who storms onto the rooftop in a fit of anger, smashing things around him. Noticing Layla's presence, he quickly apologizes and explains that he didn't realize anyone else was there. He asks her to move away from the edge of the roof, worried she might fall, but Layla refuses, saying she's comfortable where she is. Rael, intrigued by her calm demeanor, sits down beside her and introduces himself. He tells her that he works as a neurosurgeon, which surprises Layla, who finds it hard to believe given his unkempt appearance. Amused, she laughs, and Rael joins in, finding humor in the situation. As they talk, Rael mentions that he lives on the 10th floor of the building, right next to his sister's apartment. When he asks Layla if she lives in the same building, she reveals that she doesn't live there at all. Instead, she had stumbled upon the building while driving and decided to come up to the rooftop to clear her mind. Rael, sensing her distress, gently probes her about what's troubling her. Layla opens up, telling him about her father's death and how she failed to deliver a eulogy at his funeral. Rael listens sympathetically and confides in her that he, too, had a tough day. He explains that he had just lost a 6-year-old patient during surgery, and the emotional weight of the situation had left him feeling distraught. In an effort to lighten the mood, Rael suggests they play a game where each of them confesses something unusual or strange about themselves. Layla, caught off guard by the suggestion, agrees and shares that when she was in high school, she once dated a homeless man named Atlas. Rael responds with a surprising confession of his own, admitting that he finds Layla attractive and wants to pursue a relationship with her. Layla is taken aback by his directness and tells him that she isn't the kind of woman who entertains casual relationships. Rael, undeterred, arrogantly claims that no woman has ever rejected him before. Just as things begin to escalate, Rael receives an urgent call from the hospital and apologetically excuses himself, explaining that he has to leave for work. Before parting, he expresses his hope that they might see each other again, though Layla remains skeptical about whether their paths will cross in the future. The scene then shifts to Layla's past, where a younger version of herself is seen preparing for school. As she heads out, she notices a boy, Atlas, rummaging through a trash bin outside an abandoned building near her home, searching for food. Struck by the sight, Layla feels a pang of empathy for him. The next day, unable to shake the image of Atlas, she packs a bag full of food and leaves it at the door of the abandoned building. After knocking on the door, she quickly hides behind a nearby tree, watching as Atlas discovers the bag. He realizes it was Layla who left the food for him and approaches her the following day to thank her for her kindness. Over time, their connection deepens and they begin riding the school bus together. Layla notices that Atlas often wears the same clothes and appears unkempt, a clear sign that he has been struggling to take care of himself. Concerned, she comes up with a plan. After ensuring her parents won't be home, she invites Atlas over to her house so that he can take a shower and clean up. Atlas gratefully accepts the offer, and after freshening up, Layla gives him some of her father's old clothes to wear. The two then sit together and watch TV, growing even closer in the process. It's during this time that Layla starts to develop romantic feelings for Atlas, and she senses that he feels the same way. Back in the present day, months have passed since Layla's father's death, and she has thrown herself into pursuing her dream of opening a flower shop. Despite her mother's disapproval, Layla quits her job and purchases a small shop. She begins preparing the space for its grand opening, but soon realizes that she can't handle the workload alone. Just when she feels overwhelmed, a girl named Alyssa walks into the shop, responding to an old help-wanted ad that Layla had forgotten to take down. Layla explains that she isn't hiring at the moment, as the shop hasn't opened yet. However, Alyssa's upbeat and friendly personality wins Layla over, and they soon strike up a conversation about flowers. Alyssa admits that she isn't particularly fond of flowers, explaining that they require a lot of care and die too quickly for her liking. Nevertheless, she promises to attend the shop's grand opening and wishes Layla luck before leaving. But just as she's about to walk out the door, Layla reconsiders and offers her a job after all, realizing that she could use some help. Alyssa is thrilled and eagerly accepts the position, and the two begin working together to prepare the shop for its launch. Alyssa proves to be a valuable assistant, and the two women quickly form a close bond as they clean and organize the shop. As the opening day approaches, Alyssa's husband, Marshall, stops by the shop with her brother, who turned out to be Rael. Layla is shocked to see him again, as she hadn't expected to run into him after their rooftop encounter. Rael, too, is surprised but pleased to see Layla, and the two share a brief but awkward exchange. Sensing the tension, Marshall suggests they all go out for drinks that evening to celebrate the progress on the shop. Layla hesitates but eventually agrees, and the group spends the night together at a lively bar. During the night out, Rael pulls Layla aside and admits that he hasn't been able to stop thinking about her since their first meeting on the rooftop. Layla, still guarded, reminds him that she isn't interested in a serious relationship at the moment. However, Rael presses on, telling her that he wants to get to know her better and that he's serious about her. Though Layla is hesitant, she agrees to stay friends with him for now. As the weeks go by, Rael and Layla continue to spend time together, and their friendship slowly begins to blossom into something more. Before long, they are officially dating, and Layla finds herself spending most of her time at Rael's apartment. She grows more comfortable with him, and the two become nearly inseparable. Rael's charm and attentiveness draw her in, and she begins to trust him more and more. One morning, Rael wakes Layla up and asks her if she'd like to go out with him that evening. Layla declines, explaining that her mother is in town and she needs to spend time with her. Rael surprises her by expressing a desire to meet her mother, a gesture that touches Layla deeply.